You bring the energy, he'll do the rest. Martinez Company, powered by Sports Radio 102.9 The Game.
You're going to hear it right here.
The show starts now.
Hello, and yes, welcome. Sorry for a delay here at Martinez Company, but sometimes, just every once in a while, there's conversations that you have to have before you go on air. And because I am here doing everything as much as I possibly can, well, you have to take said conversation to make sure you don't ever disconnect with folks that end up connecting with you, no matter how far or near they may be. But with that being said, thank you all for tuning in here to Martinez & Company on SR 1029, thegame.com, Sports Radio 102.9 FM. Of course, you guys can download the app always on the website, SR1029thegame.com. And always check out the latest and greatest content that's on the network, as we have more things coming up in the pipeline here, coming up in the 2025. And today, more importantly, will be the conversation with Stuart and Jason, Fast Chat with CGM, which CGM, if you guys have figured it out, it is City Garage Motorsports. So the guys will be calling in as they are on the road at 11 o'clock this morning. So we'll have that conversation then. And of course, getting you up to date with everything that's going on here in the sports world and the entertainment side of the house, and some articles and things that sometimes make you want to scratch your head. But don't forget, you guys can always make your comments live on the social medias: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch, Kicks, Rumble. Who else am I missing here? I believe that's it. And also on our website, if you guys have the player, you guys can make your comments there as well. You can call or text the show at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. As you see there on the bottom line, it stays there all show long. So that, therefore, you guys don't forget where you can call in, which hopefully you never do. But nonetheless, I'm going to kind of start off here with something that I saw, and I would like to get what you guys think and your comments on it, because as we know, that cameras are everywhere. You know, they're light posts, traffic posts, you name it, anywhere you go. And then you go inside stores, and rightfully so, they should have. Technically, you should have, in any store you walk into, a camera of sorts. And most of it's because obviously shoplifting has become a major thing. And the last thing that you want is to have a store that's being ransacked. I mean, I don't know what's going on in California as of late, but I know that state was going through it, and I don't know if they still are or not. But the reason why I talk about it is because Walmart has chosen to, and I don't know if they're going to keep it around as a permanent thing, but apparently they're going to try to have body cams like you do with your local police department. Everybody knows with the police, if they come to your car, they come to your house, they go to your work establishment, or you guys are just out and about, you'll see them now with the body cams. Most of the time, it's to protect both parties, whether it be the police officer and or the civilian, so that you can't point fingers and say, no, that's not what happened. Here's what happened. Now, of course, if they delete the footage, you can always find it. But if they delete it, then it's a little bit harder. Walmart has chosen to, and you got to wonder, if you're an employee, on how much you need to be seen all the time. Because at some stores, they've put body cams on the employees. Now, they say it's to help in shoplifting. Therefore, they have, like, not only the cameras, the eyes in the sky all over the stores, but you also see it too when you're walking up and down the aisle. So, by the way, most of the Walmarts that have been updated, when you go to the register, they have a camera. And then there's a camera basically, like, I would say every 10 feet with the big screens. So, I mean, listen, if shoplifting is your thing, we never encourage it. I don't know how much you're going to try to get away with it, but you're talking about wearing a body cam while you're working. Now, I'm quite sure, hopefully, when you head into the bathroom, you leave your vest outside or something. I don't think anybody really wants to hear you, using the bathroom, for that matter, whether you're male or female. And you sure as heck don't want your privacy invaded either. But how much is too much? Because it's the same way, if you're a shopper, how much do you want your privacy invaded? Now, we all know, right? Government knows everything. No big deal there. When, no matter what carrier you belong to, AT&T, T-Mobile, the whole 9 yards, they give away your information. Your information is out there. But what I mean is, if you're shopping at Walmart And not that anybody's doing anything wrong. I don't believe, even though we always see like the Walmart stories. I used to see them when I lived in Philly. I mean, there was pictures, videos, and stuff that people used to do late night, overnight in Walmart. Nothing super crazy, just the outfits and stuff like that. But are you okay with everywhere you walk in the store, basically you're being traced, is the way I look at it. So not only does Big Brother know where you're going because your phone, obviously, as it bounces off the cell towers, it lets them know exactly where you're going. But now they're walking with you everywhere. I mean, is it going to be to the point now they're going to start sending them to your home and say, hey, just for your protection, ours as well, every time you walk around your house, every time you jump in your car, every time you go on a trip, we want you to put on this body cam. I just don't know how, at this point, how are these unions allowing this to happen? Walmart says that it's the safety and security of the employees. Again, safety and security of the employees. But at the same time, God forbid you have a call that came in from home, right? Your child's at school and maybe he or she got sick. They broke a leg during a sport activity, something, whatever. We don't ever want to get the phone call of any kind of shooting, but the everyday kind of stuff. And you're having this conversation on the phone, and now it's being recorded by this body cam because not only can it see you, it also records everything that's being told. So I'm just wondering, when are we going to get to the point of, okay, there's enough cameras everywhere. If you want the mics to be live, and by the way, anywhere there's a camera, it's also supposed to be posted with a sign saying basically you are being recorded under video surveillance. Now, a lot of places don't have the audio because you have to get a license for that. Meaning, like if you're a convenience store and you have it in there, okay. But when you're a bigger establishment like Target, Walmart, and everything else, and you decide you want to add boom mics to your cameras, there has to be something posted up there. Not only are you being recorded by video surveillance, now you're being recorded by audio surveillance. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen it down here in Hillsborough or Pasco or any of the other counties around here. But at the same time, too, are they going to be wearing a vest that basically says, hi, you're being recorded, and, state the obvious what's in there? Because if I'm a consumer at Walmart, and I'm not, trust when I tell you, I'm not trying to knock Walmart and anything whatsoever. But if you're a consumer, are you okay that you're being followed throughout the store? Now, I'm not saying as soon as you walk in, someone's coming after you and, hey, by the way, don't mind me, I just have a camera. But everywhere you walk around Walmart, there's a camera. Like I said, overhead aisles and everything else. I just think there gets to be just a bit too much of the invasion of privacy. Because ACLU, there's no way in the world you can't tell me that they're okay with this. And I don't know if Walmart agreed upon it, and then they made some other deal, I forgot whatever company it is, to export things even faster, whatever. I found that interesting, and I figured I'd share it with you guys. If you guys have the comments, by all means, you want to send me a text and let me know, 727-858-6650. I just find it extremely, extremely challenging for that part, for that matter, because I just think it's just your invasion. I think there's just too much where the government wants to know, because when is it going to be that everywhere we go, and we've seen it. If you guys haven't seen documentaries, there's a ton of them out there on Netflix, and I'm not starting any controversial nonsense. That's not the goal here. The whole thing is I just want to know what you guys think. When is it too much that they are following you everywhere? That's just my thing. Penguin AZ says, good morning, Amano, Angel, in the chat. I'm pretty sure the chat will start picking up here momentarily, but good morning, Penguin AZ out there in Arizona. We do appreciate Penguin AZ and everyone else that tunes in, of course. And as I mentioned, the fast chat with Stuart and Jason will be happening here at the top of the hour, 11 o'clock, as the Arkham Nard series. Listen, January is just, what are we now? We're at the 18th. So we're talking some 13 days away from the end of the month. And then before you know it, as we approach January, the Arkham Nard series, NASCAR truck series, it's getting ready to launch. And so with that, we have the pleasure of partnering up with City Garage Motorsports, a local racing team out of Lakeland, Florida, with their driver, Rebecca Monopoly, who, by the way, who drives the number 85 for CGM. But the important thing with all of this is is that they are going to be dropping the flag here in January for the entire full season of the Arc Menard series. The car 85 will be a part of it, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. We'll be covering it as well. There's going to be a lot of things that will be coming up here, and we'll discuss it with them when they come on the phone. So there's good things that are happening, and I can't wait to see what 2025 in general will bring here to the network. As I mentioned, there's other things that are happening. And by the way, on Friday, just don't forget, I will not be on with Pete Shepard in the morning. Martinez Company also will not happen that day. And a good possibility that the Drive with Q won't happen either, because we will be out covering the Cure Bowl in Orlando at the Camping World Stadium. So if you guys are looking, Pete will be on. He'll be on by himself on Friday morning, but there will be no Martinez Company on Friday. And that's because we'll be over at the Cure Bowl, myself, my digital producer, my lovely wife, Debbie, along with Dylan. He'll be out there with us, and Alex Walworth, the official network photographer here of the Coastal Sports Network, Florida. So all of us will be out there on the road. And so if you're looking for Martinez Company, it will not be available. Now, I think also the situation with Aaron Rodgers continues to become kind of more and more ridiculous. I don't know when it's all going to come to an end. I really don't know. I mean, Pete talked about it this morning. Apparently, Ryan Clark had an issue because he talked about the vaccination and unvaccinated. Whether you got it or not, again, that's up to you. If you want to share that information, that's up to you. I couldn't believe during that whole thing is that people walked around literally either with a sticker or with their card. I think the card thing was even funnier, because the funny part about the card, now, of course, I have a blank piece of paper, but just imagine, or for that matter, you get a blank piece of paper, and just imagine on the piece of paper had like name, date of birth, your signature, your address, vaccination, and people were actually posting it on social media. And then I don't know who was the person that basically told the other people, hey, by the way, did you know that you're actually giving away all your information to everyone? And it's up to you guys. What everybody wanted to do, it was up to them. But I think for Aaron Rodgers to turn around saying that if you want to make a statement to him, by the way, start out with his, as he said, his PSA about make sure you say if you were vaccinated or not vaccinated. I don't get it with Aaron Rodgers. Good quarterback. I'm not in line with everybody else saying he's one of the greatest of all time. I don't think so. You won one Super Bowl. Sure, you did okay in Green Bay. My opinion, you did okay in Green Bay. Obviously, it's horrible with the New York Jets. But you're not focusing upon what needs to be done with the organization. You're focusing upon your appearance on the Pat McAfee show, which I believe is a great show. But you go on there to tell everybody that if you want to come at you, that you have to state whether you're vaccinated or not. That, to me, that is complete privacy. Complete privacy. So I don't get the whole thing where I don't know. And his Netflix special, like Peter mentioned this morning, more than likely we're probably going to watch it just because I know it's going to be brought up at one point or another, that Ayuka thing that he believes in, everybody can do whatever they need. I know people go to, for example, if you have a bad back, legs, stuff like that, people do different type of massages because it ends up helping them out. And some people get the acupuncture one. I've never done it. Some people claim that it really helps them out, detoxifies their body. So, and I guess depending on where you go, it makes a lot of sense. It can end up helping out. I just think the whole situation with Aaron Rodgers gets to be a little bit more and more ridiculous, but I want to go back. If I can find it here, let's see, was it over one of my pages here where it talked about Ryan Clark? I guess Aaron Rodgers took some sort of issue, and that's why he ordered said the PSA. And it may not be on this one here, but it's coming up. This was from a couple of days ago, and one thing that Ryan Clark had talked about said Aaron Rodgers blasted former players for believing they are stars now after not having the greatest of their careers. It's ironic that he said this while being paid to a former player who's the epitome of people's that he's laminating. Now, this is a conversation with Ryan Clark, Cam Newton, and Stephen A. Smith. And I want to share with you guys before the guys end up calling in here with Fast Chat. But I don't know. I don't know where Aaron Rodgers is going. I wish he would be more focused upon his career and what he needs to do for the New York Jets. But I guess when you're getting paid the way Aaron is and he knows he's on the back end of the career, it doesn't matter. But here's the conversation with Ryan Clark, Cam Newton, and Stephen A. Smith.
I find it extremely funny that he's saying this on a show with a man who, as great as he was as a punter, is far more famous as a pundit.
That's a fact.
And Pat McAfee. A.J. Hawk, who I felt like was a good player, right, is now on TV, and he gets to give his thoughts as well. Actually, Aaron Rodgers, you're being paid to be on that show to give your thoughts and opinions as a personality.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. He is not to me a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is one of the best and most talented quarterbacks to ever play this game. And he ain't no more. And his problem is that people are willing to say it. Are people not supposed to be able to do their jobs in an unbiased way and be honest about who you are as a player because you feel like you had a better career than them?
Yeah.
I don't agree to that. And for you to sit up there and say that there are these people who feel like they have now become the celebrity or they have now become the superstar or the sports center of old is gone. Yeah, bro, because times change. The reason that they're paying you $1 million or whatever it is to be on Pat McAfee is because you had a great career and people are going to listen to your opinions, which people listen to my opinion. People listen to Cam Newton's opinion. People listen to Stephen A's opinion because those opinions are informed. And so my biggest problem with Aaron Rodgers, because to me, I'm actually not upset about what he's saying because I ain't no hit dog. And you know a hit dog, a holler. Mm-hmm. My issue with him is you're doing the exact same thing.
You're doing it too.
And the reason that you're getting this opportunity to say these asinine things is because someone is paying you who is exactly the same thing that you are now speaking out against. Yeah. This dude is once again tone deaf. This dude is once again unaware. This dude is once again arrogant to a point that's almost sickening because he says these things and he talks tough and he behaves in this way, but he ain't. Right? He has all of this cachet because he's a good player, but they ain't people around here that come around and talk about what type of leader you are. They ain't people that come around here and talk about wanting to follow you because of the type of man you have been. This dude is a fraud. Right? He's been a fraud, and he could throw a football, and that's where it stops. Once that talent ends, so does him, and so does he. And so to sit up there, man, and to be just blatantly hypocritical is funny and sickening at the same time.
So I want everybody to kind of think about that one for a second, what Ryan Clark talked about with Cam Newton and Stephen A. Smith. And listen, he's not wrong, right? Because it's all about hypocrisy. You want to talk about people without looking at yourself and trying to judge others without looking at yourself either. Yet, he was upset with Ryan Clark because he figured that Ryan Clark called him out, and he's just saying about your gameplay. It had nothing to do with vaccinations, but the saga will continue because why? It's just who he is. It's Aaron Rodgers, and it doesn't make any sense. But what does anymore? Because he just, who knows? People are just, it becomes a finicky matter with certain folks, and it doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me by any means whatsoever. But like everything else, we'll figure out, we'll hear about it. It's going to be talked about from here until who knows what. But it is the top of the hour. And with that, we welcome in Stuart Weiss and Jason Smith, who are on the road, by the way, picking up yet another victory lap. I won't release why they're on the road, but I will say this much. It is the premier series here with Fast Chat with CGM City Garage Motorsports. Stuart and Jason, fellas, I know you guys are on the road. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. We are on the show. Hopefully you can hear me all right. We're in process of traveling, but very excited to be here and very excited to be on the road and making some progress towards Daytona.
Yeah, it's going to be this year, as I mentioned, as the show had started, it's going to be a fun time this season, not only because obviously everybody looks forward to NASCAR. The conversation that we had just, seemed like a week ago, which it was a week ago, but it seems further since then. But it's fun because NASCAR fans are loyal fans. When a new race team comes into the picture, the curiosity begins. And now it begins with you guys, even with City Garage Motorsports. I mean, you made your debut last year in 2024. This time, from what I understand, the full-time circuit with the Arkham Menard Series, powered by Orlando Health. If you guys don't know, you can visit Orlando Health, who sponsors Car 85. So it would be greatly appreciated. You guys, not only, you can visit the hospital, don't get me wrong, if you're sick, but more importantly, because of the sponsorship deal that they have with Orlando Health. So when you guys see a tweet out there or out there on Instagram, it is powered by Orlando Health, who is the major sponsor for Car 85, driven by Becca Monopoly. But so I wanted to start off here, Stuart, which is the more important thing for folks who don't know. You guys are locally here in Lakeland, Florida. You race on local tracks and again, being part of the Arkham Menard Series. But to kind of start off, I want you to share it with everyone here, the new listeners that have come in just to hear the series itself, and then loyal listeners here to Coastal Sports Network Florida and Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. But let the people know exactly, because it was an interesting story, and I love the time that we had with each other. But let the people know exactly how this vision had started.
Yeah, the interesting thing about us is, we haven't been in the racing industry for 20 years, and decided, hey, we're going to get into ARCA and NASCAR. I've just been a fan my whole life, worked in law enforcement, retired from there, and then worked in school system as an administrator and a coach, and just been a fan my whole life. So, opened up, I think I told you, we opened up an automotive repair shop about 3 years ago, which was kind of my retirement. And just being a lover of racing, I had this itch and this bucket list item to get back into racing. And so Jason Smith, who is our director of operations, he and I had a conversation January of last year. And I went to him and I said, hey, you know what, if we're going to do this, let's do this. Call NASCAR, find out if there's any kind of program to help people get into the ownership business and to help get into racing, and that's where it all started. Jason made some phone calls, and holy cow, a year later, we've raced 2 races. We have a team, and we're going to Daytona in a couple of weeks. So it's been, how they do Couch to 5K. They do those programs where if you're not a runner, you can do Couch to 5K. We did Couch to NASCAR racing in 1 year, and it's just been a lot of fun.
The story that I heard in both you guys, the energy you guys had when we were sitting there, and then I say to folks, like, so it should have been, truthfully, it probably should have been, we always hear about meetings that most people usually take about 15, 20 minutes, half hour max, because you get to know each other and you share ideas and figure out where you want to go. With us, it was almost 2 hours. It felt like 15 minutes because of all the stuff that we discussed on the table that day. And it was so much fun. But even listening to Jason and how, for him coming on board, obviously being the director of operations, it was great to hear the story of how you had mentioned you go from a fan to now becoming an owner. And with Jason being on board and hearing how he came into the picture as well, where you guys were from last season to this season and building the momentum up for the 2025 season, what's the comparison? Meaning, like, we know the car was unfortunately wrecked out, I believe, in Indianapolis. It's not cheap to rebuild the car, especially when you're coming into the series very early on. But I want the folks to know, like, from where you stood last year, 2024, leading into the 2025 season as we lead up to Daytona, has there been a big growth in as far as learning the nuances of the car, how to set it up, and then obviously as the race team continues to hopefully continue to grow?
The growth has been, what they say, drinking from a fire hose. We are way, way ahead of where we were last year. Obviously, we didn't even have a team, but we've learned throughout the year. We acquired our first car in April. Tested it, got it prepared, went to Indianapolis in July, actually qualified 19th, which was really, with a really full field. We really felt like that was a great start for us. We were running about 20th, lap 128. Becca got loose coming off the turn, ended up spinning, got tagged going down the back stretch, and ended up wrecking the car, which was crushing for us as a team, especially being a new team. But we managed to repair the car, get it put back together, tested it again. It was really good piece. And so we took it to Toledo in October. And we were a totally different race team in October. We had a lot of mistakes that we had in Indy. We fixed. Car handled really well, and wound up finishing 11th at Toledo, which we felt like was a victory for us where we are as a team. And it really kind of catapulted us into the off season and preparation for Daytona.
It's listen, when there are certain expectations, and you know, as a car owner, the same way with the team, your director of operations. I mean, when I don't think everybody kind of understands when, especially when you're first starting off, it is the cost involved to create the team, your pit crew, just everyone. But when you're taking your car, the only one that you have for repair. What other people don't realize either, it's the time that you're off the track to potentially end up winning other races to then bring that revenue back in to the team itself. But for you guys even to bounce back the way you did for last year, to be able to make that race, and then to start off this season, which we're hoping is going to be such a fantastic season. I can't wait because there's a lot of things that we've talked about, and I'll be going up to the garage so we can get kind of more in detail with the car. And I've already said to Becca through you guys that I want to race the car. That's the one goal. Becca might fight me on that one, but I want to race the car. So I'll leave that kind of a teaser to everybody, because we'll see. Maybe I can suit up one day, put on the helmet, and see what happens. She might throw me though on a pull wagon and tell me go ahead and race. But it's gonna be so much fun to see everything leading up to race time, to practice for qualification. Because that's the other thing, too, that people need to understand. Like, you guys don't have an automatic shoe-in next season. I want to kind of have you break it down a little bit, how it's going to work for you guys to be able to qualify and then obviously race in Daytona, and then the same way throughout the ARCA Menard Series for the 2025 season.
Yeah, we because we're a new team, we've only raced 2 races. Our points, points is what they do. And like for Daytona, there'll be 40 cars that will start the Daytona race on the 15th of February. The top 32 speeds get the first 32 spots, and then the remaining 8 spots are given to provisionals, which are teams that scored high in the points from the year before. And being that we've only raced 2 races this year, I think we sit 47th or 50th in points. So we're not even high enough to be able to get in on points. So the only way we make the race at Daytona is we have to have one of the top speeds. And right now they're looking at potentially 55 cars for Daytona. So we've got to be in the top 32 of those 55 cars. So, we're scrambling a little bit. We bought a really good car from a race team up in Tennessee in October. Right now it's at Fast Track Racing up in Concord, and they're doing an amazing job helping us get the car prepared. And we're going to pick it up tomorrow and bring it back home. And we're going to be at the test, which is the 9th and 10th. There's a 2-day all-day test at Daytona. And we'll be at that, hopefully being able to get enough speed out of that car that we can get in the field on February 15th.
No, I don't remember, and I could be wrong on this one. Was Becca going to be the same driver for the testing, or you guys have a second driver for the car?
No, Becca will be testing it. Becca will be driving it at Daytona. Becca's our driver for the 85 car this year.
Yep.
I am going to let it out there that we are trying to form a second team, to have a second team this year, number 50 car. So breaking news right here with you, Angel. We are working on getting a second car up and running this year. And we don't have a driver for that one yet. That'll be to be determined. But right now, Becca is driving the 85 car for us this year. So she'll be testing it in the 9th and 10th in January. And then she'll be trying to qualifying it. I'm just going to say it. She'll qualify it for us at Daytona and drive it there for that Daytona 200.
So Thursday, Friday, I might have to figure out how I can do a live show up there from the track on the 9th and 10th, just so I can be a part of it as far as the qualification. And as you had mentioned now, the second car, for those who don't know, there would be car number 50. Although, I am, I might be experienced on regular cars. So if you need a standby driver.
All right, Angel, we got to suit you up. We got to have you standing by for us.
Right. I'll make sure I do that. And Becca will run circles around me. So, as long as I can keep it about 35, 45, I think we'll qualify, I don't know, thousandths.
We'll get you on pit road at 35. How about that?
That's fine.
That one place you'll be doing 35 at the racetrack.
No, it's funny because there's so many people. I want people to really kind of understand this. And Becca, I've had the opportunity of speaking with her. She'll be on a lot more this season as well here with CGM Motorsports and with CSN Florida. But I don't think people understand, like, there is a process as an athlete. People just think, well, they just get in the car, they suit up, put on the helmet, put on the harness, and off they go. You still have to be physically fit, more importantly, because it's time that you spend in the car. There's no bathroom break. You don't get out. There's no door that you open up. You're climbing into the car. For those who have never seen a NASCAR race before, all these things happen. And the drivers, there's been a bunch of them that said when they go, they just go right in the suit. But they don't understand like what it actually takes building up the strength, even mentally being prepared just to get in the car, knowing that because there's no speedometer. You have the RPMs, your tachometer, they kind of let you know exactly where you are. But I don't think people really, really, really get that NASCAR drivers are athletes. So when you look at Becca and you talk to Becca, you might look at her just as your average person that may work a 9-to-5 job, but there is an actual preparedness to be able to get you inside a car. Because again, if you are not fit, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stuart, if you're not fit, there's not a race team that wants to pick you up because you're just not jumping in the car and driving.
Well, anybody can jump into a race car and run, 10 laps. When you're running 200 laps at top speed for 2 hours continuously, no breaks, your body is under physical strain the entire time. When you're in the turns, when you're going down the backstretch, your mind is going nonstop. I mean, think about playing a video game for 2 straight hours, where you're having to just focus with everything you have. It takes a lot. It takes a lot out on that particular person. They're definitely athletes. They have to be prepared. She spends hours on sims, on sim racing just to get her skills fine-tuned. She races not every Saturday night, but probably at least twice a month at local tracks to keep her skill up and to, enjoy what she's doing. And it's craft. It really is a craft. You have to know what you're doing, just like a jet fighter pilot needs to know what they're doing. A race car driver has skills that they have to continually hone all the time.
They have to. Again, it comes in, if you have stuff that goes on at home, everybody knows, I don't care what job you have. If you have things that are going on at home, whether it's, a sickness in the family, someone's not doing well, we know our grandparents, our parents get up there in age, stuff like that can affect you. You got to figure out a way to kind of break away from that and be focused upon what you're doing inside the car, because one little slip up, and it's a difference between qualifying first to wrecking out one or the two. But again, see, I didn't even think about the simulator. That's how I'm going to beat Becca. I'm just going to unplug it so she doesn't get any better. I can beat her on the track. But no, it's.
I don't need her unplugged. I need her to get better. I need her to keep practicing. We're looking to win, Angel. We got to be have our skills on top of our game. No, that's true. That's very true. But it's just to have fun with her. It would be fun to one time just unplug just to see what she does. I'm pretty sure she'll chase me out at the simulator. But it's. I can't wait to see what's going to happen this season. It's going to be a lot of fun to be together with you guys throughout the entire season. And it's just not for the season, folks. I want people to understand this. This partnership here goes on as long as CGM is around. CGM and CSN Florida are partnered up for the long haul. So we're hoping that, obviously, not only for this season, but things that are coming up, also with events that go on. Because you guys, one thing people too, if you guys are tuning in for the first time just to listen into Fast Chat, but you guys are literally all over the place in a good way, because you go out to events, social media events, things that go on with the community. So before I let you guys go, because I know you're on the road, but I want you to kind of understand and let the people know how much involvement you guys are already in the community, even starting up come last year, because there's pictures of you guys literally everywhere. Yeah, we probably spend 5 times more days out, meeting the public and greeting the public at events than we are on the track. We've been at Christmas tree lightings over in Hamlin and Winter Garden. We've been at the UCF campus for the Heart Walk. We were at Politics in the Park in Lakeland. I mean, we are at events pretty much on a regular basis. It's the way we get out and meet people. It's the way we get to meet fans. It's the way we get to help show off our sponsors and kind of gain interest in ARCA. It's kind of been interesting as we've gone through this whole process of learning about racing and getting into racing. And of course, we live it 24/7. Is racing is a community. It's not just us against the world. It's a community, and all the ARCA teams and NASCAR, we all work together to better our product, to better our organization, to help each other. As I mentioned to you, my race car right now is up at Fast Track, who's been in business for 30 years in NASCAR racing, and they're helping put our car together for us. And so it's a community, and the better our racing is, the better our product is, the better ARCA is, the more the fans will enjoy it, the better our team will be. That it's just a community, and so we're so excited to have you all part of our community and part of us.
Believe me, it's the same here, because I think we've kind of shared the excitement going back and forth through text messages, and I don't think people kind of understand either. When you're able to partner up with a race team, not only do you feel already the excitement building within, because you want to see what it's going to, it's different talking in the studio, talking behind the mic, and then going out and seeing how that product is going to be. I'm just excited because if you've never been to a NASCAR race and that car fires up for the first time, I don't care if you're going for qualifying, if you're just there to sit as a fan for practice, that car fires up, your adrenaline goes through the roof. And you're like, I had a friend of mine who went, Stuart, many years ago. This is out in Dover, Delaware. He always talked about like, all you guys do is go left. And every stereotypical thing you could say as a non-NASCAR fan, he said, well, we get to the track. And I told him, I said, listen, this is the first time when the cars fire up, you are probably going to get a little jolted. What are you talking about? Now, at the time, he's probably lost weight since. At the time, I want to say he was probably pushing 295, 300-ish. When the cars fired up, and mind you, he had the listening device on so you can hear what the drivers are saying. I thought he was a cat because he must have jumped about 15 feet up in the air, not expecting that. And then he looked over at me like just ghostly white and goes, what was that? I'm like, I told you weren't ready for it, huh? But no, you said, according to you, that it's no big deal. It's different when you're live, when you're there at the track. And of course, now he completely changed his mind, became a NASCAR fan. And I'm pretty sure to this day, I mean, you're talking about some 12, 13 years ago, but he's probably a fan. But I want people to be able to experience following not only Cardi 5, make sure you guys follow City Garage Motorsports. You can follow him on Twitter. You can also follow him on Instagram as well. But just be a part of this race team. And the greatness is about to happen here in the ARCA Menards series. I can't say that enough. If you guys locally, there's going to be tons of stuff we'll post up there on social media so you know exactly where everybody's going to end up being. But I want you guys, go up to Daytona, support this team. You can even support them by just buying a t-shirt. It's between $25 to $28. That stuff, just to become, a Speed Squad member, buy the t-shirt. It helps the team out. Do you guys think that, it's cheap to be able to do this? The money that's invested, even if you buy one piece of merchandise, it ends up helping out the team itself. So listen, Stuart, this is going to be great every Wednesday leading up to it. Of course, next week is Christmas. It's okay. It's Christmas. We'll keep racing nonetheless. But I want you guys to have safe travels up there to Fast Track to get the car. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to get to the shop, actually, so people can understand kind of like the breakdown without giving away a whole too much. But if also, and let me say this as well, if you guys have not seen a picture posted, whether it being on citygaragemotorsports.com or over on sr1029thegame.com, just imagine your company, no matter how big or small your company is. But when the camera focuses upon the car and your name is up there as a sponsor, there is nothing more exciting. And believe me, I'm going to be up at the track and I'm going to take our little logo and I'm just going to stand it next to the car so everybody can kind of see it. But, having the ability to become a sponsor of a race team, it is absolutely exhilarating. So if you guys want the name on your side of the car, and Stuart, I want you guys to let the people know, other than reaching out to obviously yourself and to Jason, how can they go by becoming a sponsor where their name and their company logo could be on the car?
All they gotta do is reach out to myself or Jason. I mean, they'll get us directly through either the contacts on our website or through social media. Just DM us. The one thing nice about ARCA, and this is why we chose it as opposed to trucks or Xfinity or to the actual Cup cars is because, you know, granted our cars are 6-figure cars, and we put them, you know, to get them on the track, it's well over 6 figures to be competitive. But the sponsorships are literally in the thousand. You know, we have sponsors that are $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. I mean, they're not huge, you know, sponsorship dollars. If you're looking to get in on a budget, this is the place to do it. Daytona will be on Fox. It'll be on Fox TV. It's not on the sports channels. It's on Fox Broadcasting, first time ever on broadcast TV. All of our races are on Fox Sports 1 or Fox Sports 2, with the exception of Daytona's on Fox. So you can get a lot of bang for your buck. You know, that's how we do this is by getting sponsorship, because it is very expensive sport to be in. But, you know, what you were talking about a few minutes ago about hearing race cars is every time I get to the track, every time I even fire the car in the garage, you know, the hair raises on my arms and I get goosebumps. And it's just, it really thrills every sense you have, from speed to sound to taste to smell. It is just, if you've never been to a NASCAR race, come and experience it. You'll be hooked. And, you know, it is just an amazing ride. It really is.
You will be. And you have to be, one thing too, if you're going for the very first time, the closer to the track you are, the better. So seat 1, row 1, that's where you want to be, because at the end of the race, you can have your sunglasses on, but you're going to have rubber stuck to you just flying off the track. You're definitely going to smell like fuel. And then just do that for the very first time. And I'm telling you, do it like I did, except for I eventually had to throw away the shirt because it shriveled to nothing. But when I went for the very first time for a race, that's exactly what I did. I went up front because I want to get the full experience, and there's nothing like it. When I mean, you can have the worst of worst problems of anything, financially, whatever the case may be, or you can even be having a great day. Go out to the track, experience it for the first time. You will want to go back over and over again. But more importantly, if you are, make sure you support City Garage Motorsports, car number 85, driven by Beckham Monopoly, owned by Stuart Weiss and Jason Smith, Director of Operations, because you will not be let down. And the reason why I say that is because I am going to eventually race the car, and I'm going to race against Becca.
We're going to find a way to make that happen, Angel. We're going to find a way to make that happen.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate it. Don't forget, you guys, this will be every Wednesday at 11 o'clock in the morning. The only time it may not happen might be New Year's, because some people might be celebrating. I'm just saying. But 11 a.m. always here, Eastern Standard Time on Sports Network, on the City Garage Motorsports and the Coastal Sports Network of Florida here, all brought to you by Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. So you guys can keep up with all the action as we bring you everything until the first flag drop, as I keep posting out there on the social media. So Stuart, Jason, you guys have a safe trip, and I'll see you guys when you get back.
Angel, we appreciate you, my friend. We will definitely stay in touch, and you have a great week. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you guys as well. So there goes Stuart and Jason, and I hope they have a safe trip out there to obviously pick up the car, which is going to be a great time. You guys have no idea how exciting it is to be able to connect with a race team, especially when they're local. Not only that, but the guy, I mean, listen, the first conversation that we had, it was so much fun that we sat there and talked as if we had known each other for years. And to walk up and walk out of a table, listen, because everything's an unknown. When you talk to everyone, it's an unknown. But we went back and forth, and we finally got together. And when we did, it was just like it's like the person you were seeking all your life, but never knew. The same way with my wife. I wasn't looking for anyone. She came across, we crossed paths, and it's been beautiful ever since that we've been together. We got married June 15th, and this is pretty much like that marriage with City Garage Motorsports. It's just a time where we're going to have so much fun. I can't wait to bring all the excitement from the track leading up to it. There's just going to be a lot before the first flag drops. And I can't wait to be out there in Daytona with my lovely producer and covering things out for you. I know from time to time, Dylan's going to be joining me from the Auto Racing Digest as well to make sure, because he's got his own, and you guys make sure you also, listen, Dylan, he comes on here, and I know a lot of times he acts goofy from time to time, but make sure you also follow Dylan as well. Auto Racing Digest. It's a lot of work to put together. Dylan tries to put out as much content as he possibly can, so you guys are well informed. And I don't say that because he's a good friend of mine. I just say because the kid hustles. It's a lot that he has to deal with. USF, being a full-time student, another thing he's got coming up here that he'll end up talking about himself, because I don't ever want to release something unless a person talks about himself. But Auto Racing Digest, take a look. He's going to have a show that's going to be coming up here shortly as well on the network, racing related, of course. But he's a good kid. He hustles a lot, and he tries to do the best he possibly can to bring you guys racing material, to put it in best terms. But visit Auto Racing Digest. Dylan, just, he's a fun guy to hang around with. And I always say that when you listen to him broadcasting a game, you really get caught up in the things that he talks about. So City Garage Motorsports, don't forget, you guys can visit them right through their website, sr1029thegame.com. You guys can click on the fast chat. It'll take you over to leading up to the City Garage Motorsports. And you can also visit their website as well at citygaragemotorsports.com. And as Stuart said, reach out to him and Jason. Listen, having your name on the side of the car, and it doesn't have to be a company. If you guys want to, you speak to them and you let them know whatever it is that you want on that side of the car, talk to them. Because there's nothing like seeing your name across, or your company logo on a vehicle on live TV. And especially when you're at the track, because everybody looks out. Everybody. I don't care. FedEx, Walmart, Target, from the smallest mom and pop. But think about your name on an upcoming team, on an upcoming car, driven by Becca Monopoly, the number 85 City Garage Motorsports. I can't wait. I can't wait. 2025 is going to be so big on this network, and it's going to be even bigger with City Garage Motorsports. So this partnership, I am definitely loving. Joey B says, before I go into the break, good morning all. Tuning in from cell phone this morning, driving to the mountains here in Colorado. Breckenridge awaits. Ooh, someone's going skiing, I believe. Dylan says, from Auto Racing Digest, thanks for the shout out. I'm excited to be involved with CGM. Having our logo on the car is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I scratched it out, Dylan. I took a marker and scratched it out, so it may not be there. I'm kidding. But no, listen, it was. Dylan, he knows, as I would just put it that way. Dylan knows what it's like to be able to have your logo up on a car. Becca and the team have a special thing that they are building. Yes, they do. That they definitely do. And as I mentioned, Dylan will be joining me from time to time here. But we have CGM on for Fast Chat, and therefore, because the one thing I will say, again, as I mentioned Dylan beforehand, he does a lot in the racing world. And to keep up with a lot of stuff that he ends up doing, I will give it to him, because, again, his full time will be with USF, rightfully so, because he's building up his future. So once he gets his degree, once he's done with USF, the doors will be opening a lot more with what Dylan's going to do. But primarily, his focus is upon his study. And of course, that's what his parents want. That's what everybody wants. Once he's done with that, hey, everything else, it's all open seas from that point. So we will take a small break here, come back with more stuff here on the network. You guys had heard me talk about Aaron Rodgers at the very beginning. You heard the comment about Ryan Clark before the guys end up calling in. Also mentioned, of course, that the Walmart body cams. And I want to get you guys your thoughts. Is it okay that you're being followed? Not specifically, like you're not walking into Walmart and someone's following you, but is it okay when you're walking around Walmart, depending on where they're going to launch these things, that you are being recorded on your every move while you walk around the store? So we'll get into some more stories coming up. And the NBA Cup, is anyone really thrilled about the NBA Cup? No offense, but the ratings have tanked. Not gone down, not done this, no. The ratings have tanked. And yesterday, you would have thought the Bucks would have won their first championship ever. They have an NBA championship, but the celebration, a little excessive. I don't know. I guess the folks over in Vegas, they enjoyed it. To me personally, I just think it's overrated. NCAA does a much better job. So we'll get into that and other things as well here after the break. You are listening to Martinez Company live on Sports Radio 102.9 FM, The Game, part of the Coastal Sports Network here in Florida, as we are live from Tampa Bay, 75 beautiful degrees, going up to 85 today. And wherever you are, make sure you are safe, bundled up, or having fun, as Joey is, on the slopes a little bit later on. But nonetheless, don't forget, you can call or text the show at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. You can make your comments on our social medias, and don't ever forget, so you can follow all the action, download the all-digital sports app on sr1029thegame.com. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Shepard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of ACE Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him in the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM, the Game app, and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
All right, welcome back here to the bottom of the hour here. Martinez Company live on Sports Radio 102.9 FM, the Game. As I always mentioned, don't forget you can download the all digital sports app right from the website, sr1029thegame.com, right on the homepage. And while you're there, again, check out the rest of the content, just like you did with Stuart here as we came on for the very first time, and also revealed to everyone that the second car is going to be the number 50. And as I said to Stuart, I'm going to be the guy racing that car. Boy, do I wish. Man, if I was a NASCAR driver, holy moly's, would I have a lot of fun. But nonetheless, we'll get Beck on as well so she can come on and let us know the updates of how she feels getting ready for the 2025 ARCA Menard Series for NASCAR. It's just going to be such a fun time. I can't wait to see what's going to happen here in the upcoming months, especially for 2025. Next year. Next year. I'm kind of fast forwarding things. But as I mentioned beforehand, Friday, of course, we will not be around. It is a Cure Bowl. Rich, I believe, will be doing his show live on YouTube. So if you guys have not followed Rich, do me a favor, follow my hermano, Rich Q on Q. Simple. Rich Q as in queen, as in query, Rich Q on Q. Therefore, you guys can see him live on his YouTube page on Friday, so you guys won't miss the Drive with Q. It's always a great time. Yesterday, by the way, we did a surprise show. Surprise to some folks. So in case you missed it, you can go back and watch the replay. It is available on the SR1029 The Game page. Over on the Sports Radio tab, all the shows that after the mornings are off, we go back and put the instant replay. So if you ever miss a show, you can always go back and watch the show there. The audio will be caught up here in the next couple of days. There was some upgrading that had to be done, and it is beyond my control. So I have to wait until the company gives the green light so then I'm able to go back and upload the audio. So once we get that up to date, then the new shows will be posted up there. But you guys can always watch the replay over on the Sports Radio tab of all the shows here on the network. Don't forget, later on today, speaking of, my hermano, the Drive with Q, he'll be back at 5 o'clock today for another show. And of course, we always appreciate everyone who tunes in to the Drive with Q, and even the folks over like Trevor and Ex-Madman that are over there to come in and watch the show. It's always a great time. Oh, and by the way, Gabriel was supposed to be with us this morning. He did get called up to another meeting, and as always, we want to make sure that Critical Sports Agency, that they take care of business, so we will reschedule. I will let you guys know when Gabriel will be back on with me. I know some folks had tuned in over from Instagram when I put out the post, but he did have a meeting to go to. He reached out to me earlier this morning. So that's why he wasn't with me at the start of the show, things that he had taken care of and the delayed start to the show. So he will be on. If not next week, we'll try to get him in before, obviously, the end of the year. Pete also had mentioned that his last show will be on Monday. Usually the way it works in radio is that week between Christmas and New Year's, everybody takes off, spend time with their family, a little downtime, recoup time. For us here on the network, it will give me time to update some other things that normally where it runs out for me in my day. So that'll be going on during the break, but also tonight as well, as I kind of go back and forth here a little bit. The Drive with Q, 5 to 6, followed by Bee's World from 6 to 7, 7:30-ish or so here at PM tonight. And then the newest co-host tonight with the already outstanding and awesomest, yes, I know it's not a word, but I'm going to make it the awesomest ladies that bring you NBA and WNBA talk, and of course, NCAA talk as well. Coach Mack, Coach Johnson, and adding to the mix, Doc Riley for his premiere tonight. So not only did we have the premiere for Fast Chat with City Garage Motorsports and Stuart and Jason, but also tonight, Doc Riley will be making his broadcast premiere on Talking Hoops. That is at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be fun. I can't wait. If his energy was anything like it was when we did the interview process last week, and that's why the ladies weren't on, I can't wait to see what he's going to bring tonight, because there is a lot to talk about. And speaking about a lot to talk about, the NBA Cup. And I want honest opinions by you guys. The NBA Cup, as Dylan says, not if I have the chance to race it first. LOL. Listen, I'm pretty sure everybody, Dylan, is going to be fighting to get in that car. That's for sure. It's going to be fun. I with Dylan, it's always a great time, but I can't wait for us to be covering a lot of stuff here together. And there is going to be stuff on Auto Racing Digest to be the collaboration back and forth with CSN. So it's just, there's just a lot that's coming up here in 2025. I can't wait. I can't wait. And maybe other things that are going to happen. But the NBA Cup, I'll just get into it kind of briefly, because in Vegas, everybody knows at one point or another, there's going to be a team in Las Vegas. I mean, you have the Las Vegas Aces with the WNBA. There's no NBA team. We know that the Oakland A's are going to become, once they figure out exactly, if they haven't done so already, I'm pretty sure my lovely producer will let me know, but supposed alleged where the Trop was is where the new stadium for the A's is going to be. So they will become the Las Vegas Athletics. And listen, the Oakland name has been around for a while, even when they were the Philadelphia Athletics and then moved over to Oakland, as the team has moved a couple of times. The only thing that I find kind of crazy that my wife was letting me know about is that they're building, I think it's a 12-tier garage. So you'd imagine, I mean, the strip is already crazy as is. If you guys have never been out to Vegas, I would advise you to go. It's a great time. The pot smell throughout the streets, not so much, because it's that skunk weed smell, and it's blech for the most part. And especially if you're not a smoker, it's one of those things like blech. I mean, listen, the regular stuff that's untouched, that grows naturally from the ground, that stuff I have no problem with. You can smell it for days on end, and it smells terrific. But that skunk weed, ugh, it's horrible. The only time you get a break from it, I want to say, is between maybe 3, no, not even then. I would say about 5 to about 9 o'clock in the morning, you might get a break from it. After that, once the strip gets busy, forget about it. But nonetheless, it is a great time. If you guys have never been to Vegas, just go. You don't have to go for an event. Just go just to go, especially when they have sales on the rooms. And a lot of times they do have sales that you guys can, take advantage of, especially when they have the airline sales as well. But, do like a 2-3 day out there. I'm pretty sure you end up going back. But supposedly, LeBron James had hinted at one point or another that he wanted to have a team. And if he does, again, just in my opinion, once LeBron James is done with the game, not when the game is done with LeBron, when he's done with the game, I have the most definite feeling that he will be an owner of an NBA team, and I believe he's going to make his roots in Vegas. You guys had heard Tom Brady, how much he wanted to be in Vegas. You also heard about the stories that he was supposed to become a Las Vegas Raider, but, supposedly Chucky said no. I don't know. We'll never get the right story. Maybe one day Tom will talk about it. Maybe one day Chucky will talk about it, but think about it. Vegas right now, so they have a baseball team. They have a WNBA team. Soccer, kind of tough out there in the desert, but they do have one. Baseball, again, you have one. Hockey, you have one. And no one ever thought, the same way like they did down here in Tampa, that there would never be a team, but you have a team out there as well. 2 years, from winning their last Stanley Cup. But the NBA Cup, I just think the NBA really needs to go back and take a look at this. First of all, the floors are absolutely terrible. And if you're an athlete, is that really what you're focused upon? And some of the teams this year, like the one with the Sixers, how do you even know where the lines are? And I know I say this, in jest, but if you're an athlete, you're seeing your reflection, everybody else's reflection on the court. There are spots that athletes know where they stand on, whether it's a 2-pointer in the paint, 3-pointer, but it's just the product and then they put that commercial out there with the stars, and can you believe that the NBA Cup is here? And I know it's sponsored by Emirates, and listen, that's great. But if the fans don't care, and if every time a qualifying game comes up and people don't tune into their teams because it's not a good product, I really don't know what the commissioner was thinking. It's not a good product. And the only reason why it was sold out in Vegas, because again, people are clamoring for basketball in Vegas. Now, how popular will it be? The WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces, for sure, they've gotten it right. They've gotten sellout after sellout. It's a shorter condensed season as well. But are we really going to keep going with this whole NBA Cup? If your ratings are tanking, if people aren't purchasing the products, if people don't care for it, just let it go. Let the Bucks being, the forever reigning champions and the Lakers being the first ones ever. But for the celebrations that went on last night, and then the over-exaggerated time they had put on the networks for it, really, it's not an NBA championship. The Celtics, I understand, who are defending champs, and even the Bucks, like I said, they've won an NBA championship. Listen, those, you can go on all night long between the stories, how they got there, blah, blah, blah. But really, that's what you want? You want this excessive celebration for winning the NBA Cup? So I don't know. I think, just in my own goofy opinion, they really need to kind of think about, is this something that they want to keep bringing up? I just don't get it. I wish they would do something better. But again, who am I? What do I know? All I can do is just talk about it because it just seems to be ridiculous. All right, now, there was something that I saw in here, and I want to see if it'll end up coming up. It may or may not here. Of course it won't. There was something I wanted to bring up in an article, but unfortunately it's not going to. Let me see if I can get lucky and bring it up a whole different way. But everybody knows that Randy Moss right now is fighting for his life, meaning with cancer. And it absolutely stinks. Nobody ever, and I'm pretty sure we've all had family members, if not friends, that battle it. And from what I understand was that he had gotten up and walked away when he was doing a live set on ESPN. And thank God ESPN is still going with it. And I wouldn't see why they wouldn't stop it. You got Mossed, because again, it's a tribute to Randy Moss. And we all hope that he ends up living a healthy life, beating cancer, because we know that cancer is taking away a lot of lives. And some people have been able to beat it and go on and move forward. My mom, who had it back in 2000, thank God, some 24 years later, she's still healthy. She's still strong. At the age of 75, she's still, kicking butt and taking names. And the same way with my niece. But we hope that Randy Moss, we really do. And I'm not saying it jokingly. I really hope that Randy Moss, and the article I was going to bring up was, Minnesota fans are completely 100% behind Randy Moss, meaning that they're with him fighting every single day with that. Because again, cancer sucks. Everybody knows this. It absolutely sucks. And it's not one of those things in your body that, my uncle, my dad's brother, he had no idea. They went on a cruise, and when they came back from the cruise, I believe on the way back, he started kind of feeling dizzy and was feeling nauseated. And my uncle, granted, he was a fire chief for the city of Springfield in Massachusetts, the first Hispanic chief, for that matter, out there in Massachusetts. But, he was dizzy. He wasn't feeling good. And then come to find out that he had, by the time they found out, first of all, they told him that, they wanted a rerun test to make sure that he was fine. But then by the time they told my uncle, he was already at stage 4. Now, a lot of it could have been because obviously when you're a firefighter, you're involved yourself in smoke. You're trying to help people from not, passing away due to a fire. And I'm quite sure that had a lot to do with it. But, there was no signs. And it took, I think, less than 3 months from my uncle, the way I remember him, from being healthy and happy and jovial, just like my dad. I mean, they're a spin image of each other, to the last picture I've seen. And I'm a person, and I like to get you guys' thoughts as well. I'm a type of person, I don't like to go to funerals. I don't like to go to the wakes, any of that stuff. Because I don't want to remember you in your final stage. I want to remember you when I saw you above ground and full of life. Even if you were the worst person in America, guess what? I still want to remember you as the worst person in America. But, because we all want to remember our families, our friends, everybody, full of life, full of happiness, full of joy, whatever the stages are, because it's all about choices that we make in life. But that's the way I want to remember people. So we hope for Randy Moss and his family as they battle it with cancer, God willing, and you guys say a prayer for Randy Moss, whether you pray or not, or a thought, even just a thought, just wish Randy Moss well, because we all want to see him again at ESPN. And if you guys also, and I'll kind of get into this next week as well, I don't want to see too much because I know I end up tearing up, but if you guys have not watched the special with Jamie Foxx on Netflix, my wife and I watched it last night. And then next week, because I like to, at the end of the year, thank a lot of people for not only obviously supporting us, helping us grow the network, helping us grow the channel, listening in to the live digital radio show that we put on for you guys. I know people say, is it a podcast? This is a 100% live digital station. When you go back and hear the audio, of course, that is on podcast form. But everything that we do here, it's all live. It is a 100% digital radio station. Let me put that out there. But if you guys have not watched that special with Jamie Foxx, and after everything that everybody had heard and they had witnessed and everything else, I would love for you guys to go back and listen in to Jamie Foxx, the special on Netflix. Again, I don't have to do an endorsement because not like Netflix pays me to say this, but when you go through something in your life, and I'll talk about it come next week, it's amazing how he was able to come back because, we all heard the stories and he finally had said it. He was literally on his deathbed. And for him to be able to bounce back and be with us, God bless. Because again, the power of prayer works, folks. Pete and I, we laugh about it because you hear the athletes talking about, oh, God was with us today. He wanted to see us win. He was there with the win. But let's not forget either that in the best of times, the funny thing is that people at whatever stage of walk of life you're going through, right? And those, again, who believe in whatever religion that you believe in, you remember when God was there, right? As a kid and as an adult in the whole 9 yards. But then some people rise to a certain level of fame and then they forget. And then God sends reminders to let you know, hey, by the way, I never forget you. How in the world is it you're possibly forgetting who I am? Because he's always with us no matter what. The one thing that I will mention as well is that never forget those who helped you along the way. Never. Whether they came and left into your life, into your business, in whatever you're doing, never forget those because they'll end up helping. But if you guys have not seen a special with Jamie Foxx, take a look. It is very moving. It's very powerful. And I'm pretty sure you'll like it. And I say that because come next week, I'll share a couple more things with you guys. But a couple of things before we end up closing out the show. One was a couple of sounders here that I want to make sure we get playing. Was Justin Herbert from the Los Angeles Chargers on his ankle injury and experimenting with a brace that would be on his injured ankle. This is credit to the Los Angeles Chargers website, but it makes you wonder. Again, Patrick Mahomes, and he's got a soundbite in here as well. He's supposedly will be ready for action come Sunday. Now, you guys also heard me mention as well that when it came to Patrick Mahomes, when just a couple years ago, when the Eagles and the Chiefs made it to the Super Bowl out there in Arizona, how is it possible that he was literally not even walking off the field, but it comes back out the locker room like a brand new man? But they want to bring him back. I guess I understand it, but to me, it's one of those things that I feel that Patrick Mahomes should take that break, not even worry about it, just reassign Carson Wentz. And I believe I also have a sounder too, in case they have to redo things for Carson Wentz. But, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But first things first, here's Justin Herbert about his ankle injury and supposedly a different type of brace that he may be experimenting with. Here is Justin.
As far as the taping on the left ankle, is it similar to what you were doing with the right ankle earlier in the season?
Yeah, pretty similar process. Brace, tape, making sure that it's stable and good to go for all the cuts and dropbacks that I expect to do.
Same brace you got on the right, now just move to the left. You should get a new brace.
No, I'm actually experimenting with a new brace. It's one that goes on the outside of the shoe, so it's just something that I've tried to rep with during practice, get a good feel for it, and go into the game with it.
Any reason you experimented with something new?
They just kind of talked about more stability, just a better brace, and so I think it was one of those things that I said, sure, I'll give it a shot, and if it works, and great. So it's been good so far. So that's what I would expect to go with.
Was that brace available to you on the right ankle earlier in the season? Or?
I'm sure it could have been. I think it's just one of those decisions that we went with, back then and said, hey, this is the best thing for me right now. So went with that, taped it, did everything I could. Felt safe going out there for sure.
All right, so he's going to put on some sort of special brace to see how it works out for him. Again, some teams are fighting for their playoff lives, some for their wild card positions. I mean, it's just you have to do what you have to do when you're a starting quarterback, and especially for the Chargers, because really there's not much behind. There isn't a really good solid quarterback there for the Chargers, so they're going to do what they can do to get him up there. And speaking of, as I had just mentioned about Pat Mahomes, I'll go with this one first. This is both credit to the Kansas City Chiefs website, but he talks about an update on his ankle and if he thinks he will be playing come next week. And then that'll be followed by Carson Wentz if Andy Reid has to basically redesign somewhat the offense to work for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I think it's done good with the treatment and the work that we've gotten in. Obviously it's a short amount of time, but I thought we had a good day yesterday, and we had good work after the game as well.
Shorter week than normal. Is it your intention to try and push the play on Saturday?
Yeah, I think that you have to. That's the reason you play this game is to push the play. So I'll get to work in practice and try to push it to see where I can get to. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to put our team in a bad position. So if I feel like I can play and go out there and win a football game, I'll play. And if I don't feel like that's the best case scenario, I'll let guys like Carson play. He's a guy that's won in this league as well. So it's just about pushing it this week, seeing where I'm at, and making the best decision then. And speaking of, here's Andy Reid on Carson Wentz.
I know you like to, you're going to design a game plan for the skill sets of the guys you have, and Carson and Pat are going to be a little bit different, and then you like to talk to them and what do they like. Does it put more stress on you and Matt and the staff to kind of maybe have two game plans, when you're here not knowing?
Yes, sir. I'll tell you, one of the things, those two guys are very similar in what they like, which helps. That helps. So you can feed them both kind of the same thing, and they're good with it. There's no more stress than you normally have. It's not a stressful deal. I'm not trying to meet deadlines. So.
One thing about Andy Reid, you're never going to shake Andy Reid. There's not. That is one tough tree to try to shake. But, again, listen, Carson Wentz, I think, will be just fine if they have to bring him in for 1 week. Again, it's not detrimental to Kansas City. But Pete asked me a question this morning, which I didn't get the opportunity to answer because I know he had moved on to something else. But he asked my thoughts, and do I believe, even with KC and obviously Patrick Mahomes being injured, is anybody betting against Kansas City if it came down to KC and Buffalo in the AFC Championship? Now, Buffalo, the way they're playing right now, you can make a great case and say, sure, they can beat them. But we've seen what Kansas City have done. Listen, they're squeaking by every single week with a win. But when it comes down to it, Andy Reid finds ways to win big games. They're back-to-back Super Bowl champions for a reason. We saw what happened to Kansas City last year. We saw also the Eagles fall off the face of the earth, but somehow or another Kansas City, and Ryan F., who's a huge Kansas City fan, had mentioned it. Like he was on the show, mentioned, no, they're not going to make it. They're not going to do it. Even leading up to the Super Bowl, he felt like they were not going to win it, and lo and behold, they did. So I just want to know from you guys as well, is there a possibility, or do you guys think that Kansas City would be eliminated? I just don't think that they will. I mean, I hope it would be great to see that matchup in the AFC Championship game, especially if it's in Buffalo. And not that it matters weather-wise, because Kansas City goes the same thing as well. But can you imagine the AFC Snow Bowl and blizzard-like conditions? I would really appreciate it. Rick Marcus says, I would like to give everyone my Christmas gift early. Houston over Kansas City this week. Ooh, that might not be bad. That may not be bad, but Rick, the way Houston's been playing this year as well. Listen, everybody thought, now it brings up a great point what Rick just stated there. Everybody thought, including me, I thought the way Houston, the surprise that they did last season with D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud, I was expecting for Houston to be on a complete different level on their sophomore year. But we've seen there's a lot of, you guys have always heard sophomore jinx. Houston kind of surprised, maybe not everyone, but it definitely surprised me, which I thought the success of the season was going to be a lot bigger than what it was. It was just interesting to me that it didn't turn out quite the way they wanted. But nonetheless, Houston is still very much in it. Now, do I see them making it to the championship game? Probably not at the rate they've been playing, but that's a good take though by Rick. And if it comes true, that would be a definitely good early Christmas gift. Texans over the Chiefs. And again, we've seen this injury before. We've seen the movie before. We've seen what Andy Reid has done. This is not nothing new. It's not something surprising. And I'm quite sure somehow or another they'll figure out a way to get themselves back to the AFC Championship game. Now, the other one to this is on the flip side, and this is credit to 97.1, the ticket out there in Detroit. But so Detroit loses. We understand it. We get it. Right now, they know that they're leading so far the playoffs throughout. It will all go through Detroit. Eagles won as well. And the Eagles are looking to stay pace because they also know that Minnesota had just won on Monday night. So all these teams are 12-2. And so now everybody thinks that for some reason Detroit may not get to the NFC Championship game, or that they're going to struggle the last 3 games of the regular season. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to bring up the sounder here in a minute. But Gas Pump Guy says, what's up, Angel? Sorry now, just getting a chance to tune in. I was sorry about a half hour ago. Gas Pump Guy, GBG, that's on me. He says, I thought Houston was going to be far better, and I thought they would win the division. I did too. Listen, I'm right there with you, GBG. I'm right there with you. I thought the same exact thing. I truly thought that Houston was going to run away with the division. By the way, Dallas, you guys also had hopes and dreams as well. How did that work out for you? Just saying, little shade there from an Eagles fan. But nonetheless, I expected for Dallas to do better than what they did this year. Did I expect the Commanders to do as well as they did in the beginning of the season? And let's not forget that my hermano Rich had said that the Commanders were going to end up winning the division. Now he's had to kind of backtrack that statement a little bit. But nonetheless, who thought that the Commanders were going to come out the way they did this season? So it was a lot of surprising moves, but I think more surprising was Houston. I think a lot of fans, and you didn't have to be a Texans fans. I just think everybody thought the Texans would pick up and literally leap from what they did last season, but that not being the case. All right. As Detroit right now comes off a loss, and everybody's kind of thinking that maybe Detroit is not the team to represent the NFC. Again, we still have 3 regular season weeks of football. Do I believe that Detroit would take a major slide? I don't think so. Other than for Eagles fans to be happy to host every game at the Link. But as I mentioned beforehand, I think to me, the bigger challenge would be if the Eagles are able to win on the road, because that gets you hungrier to get to the Super Bowl versus doing it at home. Again, that's just my valued opinion. What do I know? But here is, hold on before I get into Dan Campbell. As GBG says, don't worry, Bucs are going to take care of Dallas on Sunday night. LOL. It can happen. The Bucs right now, listen, there's a lot of teams. Pete mentioned it before. I know GBG and I talked about it. I think everyone is taking the Bucs really light, or lightly for that matter. The Bucs right now, if any team, and I know Rick asked me this question beforehand about running the table, I think the Bucs possibly can. this team is looking to go to the NFC Championship game, and it could possibly happen. But there's a lot of folks that don't think that Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, and Rashad White and Bucky Irvin will get there. Listen, do not be surprised in the least if the Bucs are making the playoffs, and hopefully they'll win their division. And yes, as an Eagles fan, I said hopefully they'll win the division because, again, I'm here in Tampa. Of course, we talk about the team. GBG is our guy with the Bucs Report every single week, and thanks to GBG for jumping on board here on the network. And he does it, by the way, within his scheduled time in the day. So I think it's friggin', I'm completely blessed that he's on. He also follows up with, it bugs me, Angel. I was looking up some stats, and I think I tagged you in Twitter, but Baker's not that far from Josh Allen, and nobody wants to talk about it. They don't because Josh Allen is the hot ticket right now. Everybody knows it. Nobody wants to talk about it. Baker Mayfield has done, and listen, TB12, he was here. We get it. We understand it. They won their second Super Bowl championship with him. The following year, not so much. But Baker Mayfield, yeah, he's not that far away. And yes, I think I'm almost certain I had reposted that, GBG, but it's true. He's not that far from Josh Allen. But because Josh Allen is the hot ticket for the MVP talk, along with Saquon Barkley and a couple other guys, and we had mentioned it, I believe, on Monday, why can't Baker Mayfield be involved in those talks? Why? I think so. I think he's well-deserving. So what happens if Josh Allen goes on a slide for the next 3 games? Does he still get a pass to be MVP? And let's just say, oh, by the way, the Bucs go and run the table? I don't know. I'm just saying. I think, and I'm in agreement here with GBG. I think that Baker Mayfield should be, and I know a lot of people aren't saying it, I think he also should be in the MVP talk as well. We hear, obviously, Saquon Barkley's name being chanted, and rightfully so. What an incredible comeback season that he's had after the Giants basically told him, you're not going to amount to do anything. Your season's not going to be that great. Well, he proved them wrong, and others as well. But here's Dan Campbell on the Lions losing 1 game and not having the sky is falling act bother him.
And look, I don't, what happens is, you win 11 in a row, and you lose, and then the sky falls. And I hate to say it, but we're not going to be able to win 11 in a row again for the rest of this season. We're just not going to be able to do it. And, what happens is you get used to eating filet, and I'm talking to all of us. And everything's good, life's good, but you forgot what it was like when you had nothing and you ate your molded bread, and it was just fine, and it gave you everything you needed. And sometimes you got to get punched in the mouth and remember what it used to be like to really appreciate where you are, and we'll do that. And so we got a bad taste in our mouth. We got kicked around the other day. We lost a few guys, and you know what? It's exactly what we needed. This is exactly what we needed. So we're going to bounce back. We're going to respond. We got guys that are about to have an unbelievable opportunity here, and we will play the game any way needed to win. We still got a good offense. We got plenty of defensive players. I can go rattle them off right now. We're going to put the best 11 on the field. We're going to freaking cut it loose. We're going to play with our special teams. And I don't give a crap if we got to win by 1 point for the rest of the year. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to be happy about it. We come out of the game with 50 yards of total offense and we win by 1, you're going to see smiles on my face. I promise you. All right? If it's the other way defensively, we give up 700 yards and we win by 1 point, you're going to see a smile from my ear to ear. All right? I can promise you. So we're going to find a way and we're going to get it done.
He's absolutely right. There's no reason why they couldn't do it. And by the way, I think what Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions might need is a fresh roasted coffee from our friends at freshroastedcoffee.com. You guys can put in a code once you visit the site at MNC20. That is your code, so you can get 20% off for your fresh roasted coffee. You guys hear my hermano talk about it all the time. Well, now it's also here on Martinez Company, so you guys can visit freshroastedcoffee.com, put in the code, more importantly, and I'll have the link up there on the website, and get 20% off your next fresh roasted coffee, because I think if they would have that, and you see everybody supercharged, you see my hermano, he has at least 2 cups before he ends his show. You can't go wrong. It's cold outside, depending where you are. Here in Florida, we don't care whether it's cold or hot. We're going to get a fresh roasted cup of coffee from our friends at freshroastedcoffee.com. Put in a code MNC as in Mike and the symbol and Charlie, MNC20, so you can get 20% off your next delicious cup of coffee from our friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Now, I say that because obviously Dan Campbell, he's absolutely right. I don't know how many people think, if they believe it or not, that they're going to, for some reason, fall off of the face of the earth. And he's right. Sometimes you do need that gut punch, however you want to say it. You need it every once in a while to put you in check, to say, man, boy, we should have done this or we should have done like that. Whatever the case may be, Detroit's going to be just fine. And especially when you know the Eagles and the Vikings are on your heels, and Sam Darnold also could possibly be in that same MVP talk for that bounce back season he had. Here's a question for you guys. And Rick, I see your comment where he says, I don't think Detroit will lose to Chicago. All due respect to your producer. No, they're not. They're not. And if they do, then they got bigger problems. But I don't see it there. Listen, I'm done with Chicago. I try to pick them one more time. They let me down. I'm done. I'm done because I believe it's only a 4-game difference from me after dropping off in our football picks to coming back. I believe I'm only 3 or 4 games behind Rick. I'm chasing you, Rick. I see you. And GPG, of course, he's been keeping up with his picks as well. There's a couple of us that unfortunately with ESPN, and again, no fault to ours, with the picks and pick them, for some reason, it didn't record. I know with Fuji, I think it was a week. It didn't record. For me, definitely it was a week. With GPG, it was like 2 weeks in a row, but he's been running his picks down. So at the end of the year, we'll tabulate it to make sure we get all the numbers in there. But right now, as it stands, Rick ends up leading it. But I see you, Rick. I'm coming. I am definitely coming. GPG says, how about Mr. Campbell? You don't kick an onside kick with 10 minutes left in the game. You don't. Boy, that was dumb. I mean, that was just dumb. I think that's been and he's a risk taker. Don't get me wrong. Dan Campbell is a major, major risk taker. But that was really dumb. And I know a lot of people probably didn't want to ask that question. Listen, if you're a broadcaster, media, journalist, don't think if you ask a hard question that the coaches don't appreciate it. Ask and you shall receive, because you never know what's going to happen. But that was really dumb. Why would, and my producer and I watching it was like, are you freaking kidding me? And at the end, you got 12 seconds left, you're going for it. And then there was raising questions because, okay, you have the thing where you have to announce that you're doing an onside kick. I think the surprise element was a lot better because we saw towards the very end of that 12 seconds in that game, the impact that almost took somebody out. I don't know why you have to announce it. I could understand, like, okay, let's say the final 2 minutes of the first half, the final 2 minutes of the game, you have to announce you're doing an onside kick. I'm good with that. But do you really have to announce it with like 10 minutes left in the third or 10 minutes left in the fourth? I don't know. I think the NFL has to kind of revise some of the things that hasn't worked before, or as they're trying new things, maybe that's one of those they go back and they say, hey, you know what? We'll kind of go back and think about it and, I don't know, figure something out one way or the other. But nonetheless, it was. And no, I agree with Rick. There's no way Detroit loses Chicago. And if they do, they're going to have bigger problems. Other than that, the other part too is you have Antonio Pierce, and he talks about Aidan O'Connell's chance of playing this week. This is, again, credit to the Las Vegas Raiders website. But the Raiders have bigger problems to worry about than thinking if Aidan O'Connell's coming back, because I thought that Antonio Pierce and how much the players, everybody wanted to see Antonio Pierce coming back. The leadership with the Raiders organization thought they should have moved on from Antonio Pierce. Does he get a pass? I'm asking you guys out there. You can call or text the show at 727-858-6650 or leave your comments on the social media handles. But does Antonio Pierce get a pass because of the injuries that had happened to the Raiders, or just the year that wasn't for them? I'm just wondering. But here's Antonio Pierce talking about Aidan O'Connell.
I saw that, Aidan went through an on-field workout before the game yesterday. Do you feel like he's in line to be able to get back out there against Jacksonville, and/or has maybe Desmond earned a chance to get another start?
Yeah, he had a good workout. Just wasn't there quite yet to put him out there in that position. So we kept him as emergency quarterback, and I would say he's trending upwards to playing this week.
So he's trending upwards to play this week. I mean, listen, again, it doesn't sound like very convincing. And again, is anybody saying, ooh, I can't wait for that Raiders game? No one's saying that. Nobody, not even the Raiders. You're never going to throw in a towel. You could be the worst team in the NFL, and the only person that's probably going to be more upset would end up being my hermano Rich, who's coming on later on to Drive with Q at 5 o'clock this evening, followed by Bees World at 6, and then Talking Hoops with the debut of Doc Riley at 8 p.m. But the only other person that would be upset would be my hermano, because he's hoping the Giants keep losing so they can get the pick that they want. But the Raiders can play spoilers today because the Raiders can keep losing as well. I just don't see why. Does it really matter at this point for the Raiders? You guys are not playing for your playoff lives. You're not playing for your wild card lives. And for this matter, you're really not going to knock anybody off at this point that's looking to become a wild card playoff team. Just saying. But next year, there's always next year, no matter what. Again, I'm not into the whole what happened there with the freaking NBA Cup. There's a sounder for it, and not trying to be a jerkish whatsoever, but it was, I don't know. I just think it's goofy. The NBA Cup to me is just really, really freaking goofy. But I got a couple more things that I want to go with before we end the show. Of course, you started a little bit late, so I want to continue on and make sure you guys get the full 2 hours here of Martinez Company. Again, we appreciate everyone who supports us, who follows us, especially over on our socials. You guys can follow me at SR1029 The Game on Twitter, and of course over on Instagram under the same handle. And you guys can always visit the website sr1029thegame.com. We do appreciate you guys who visit the website, whether it's your first time, whether it's your returning time, especially those who download the app, that you can do so from the website as well. Here is Dan Orlovsky saying about Mike Vrabel already knows where he will be coaching next year. This is credit to the Pat McAfee Show.
Who do you think about for that particular situation? Vrabel's still out there.
He is.
Vrabel's still out there. Bill Belichick has an opt-out of a deal.
I think Vrabel's spoken for.
Oh. What do you mean?
What's that mean?
Married? He is married, right?
He is married.
I think he's married, yeah.
Spoken for how?
What do you mean?
Where? I just think that Vrabel's probably got a very clear sight and path with where he is going to be likely coaching.
Where?
College or pro? Say it. He's saying Ohio State.
He'll be coaching football.
Pro or college?
I just.
So we wouldn't have thought college,
I'm not a
right?
reporter.
The answer is so it's
I'm not
college.
a reporter.
O-H-I-O. Is that what you're saying?
I think that there's a vision for where he kind of likely ends up coaching next year.
Okay, Dan.
I'm not a reporter.
Dan, no.
I'm not a reporter.
You are.
You're acting
Listen,
like
I've come on your show before and I said I've heard something and it got me in a lot of trouble, so I'm trying not to do that.
Yeah, just don't delete any tweets. Ladies and gentlemen, living legend, absolute stud. You were right about that. Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah, Dano.
So Dano said
He's got some inside info.
he's got ears to the ground.
Yeah. Plugged in.
Ryan Day, is that what he just said?
Ryan
right there?
Day, bye-bye.
Listen, you can put it the way he wants to, but Dan is right, though. He's got in trouble before for saying something that he wasn't supposed to. And hey, listen, it happens. It happens to the best of people. Sometimes you're in the moment and you let something out. It's like, whoops, I shouldn't have said that. But it happens. It definitely does happen. All right, we are going to take a local sponsored break here, as Pete likes to say. And then we come back on the other side with a couple more sounders. We end up closing out the show. Once again, we appreciate everyone tuning in to Martinez Company. I am your host, Angel Martinez, here on the Coastal Sports Network, right here in Florida, Tampa Bay region. Of course, we have Pete Shepard and the Pete Shepard Show down there from Fort Myers from 7 to 10 a.m. Myself here in the Tampa Bay region from 10 to 12, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, minus this Friday because we will be covering the Cure Bowl. So that's why we will not be on air this Friday, followed by my hermano, The Drive with Q, who's up at the Jersey Shore. So that's why, if you guys notice up there on Twitter, I have Tampa, Fort Myers, and Jersey, because that's where the primary locations end up being. So the Drive with Q, that is from 5 to 6. And in case you guys missed it yesterday, he is going back to 5 days a week, the 2-hour show from 4 to 6 p.m. He'll talk about it some more today on his show. So a couple things that I can end up leaking out and something else is about to happen as well. But he will be back to his normal hours from 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Tuesdays and Thursdays may be audio only, but tune in tonight, 5 o'clock. He'll give you some more insights on what goes on there. Tonight as well, Beavs World, myself and Jay, from 6 to about 7:30-ish this evening. And of course, as I mentioned before, the addition to the Talkin' Hoops family, more importantly, right here to the Coastal Sports Network, is Doc Riley, who is taking over for Ron Briscoe. Ron was picked up by an organization that basically sometimes you just can't say no. Even if you're retired, sometimes you can't say no. The right offer comes across. Listen, right? We all know this. We would all love a nice payday. And so Ron was just, he was itching to get back into it, and he loves basketball. That's more than the obvious, but I can't wait to hear the premiere of Doc Riley, the newest co-host, along with Coach Johnson and Coach Mack, talking hoops tonight on the Coastal Sports Network, right here on Sports Radio 102.9 FM. The game, that starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central. Okay, we'll take a break. A couple more sounders. We'll close out the show. Once again, you guys can always call or text the show at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. We will be right back after our local sponsors.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu. Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Shepard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Don't just follow us on the socials. Call or text the show 727-858-6650 and let us know what's on your mind. Now back to Martinez and Company.
All right, welcome back. We have a few minutes left here on Martinez Company. We thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget, as I always mention, visit sr1029thegame.com and download the all-new digital sports app. And we do appreciate it. Therefore, if you guys are on the road, it was a meeting that I mentioned yesterday down in Tampa. If you guys are on the road, you can not only obviously watch the show only if you're the passenger, because we want you to focus if you're on the road, but if you're at home and you're watching the video portion of the show, the live video, then you can switch over to the radio element of it, the digital radio. And then once you arrive at your location, put it back on the video if you choose to. But at least this way, or if you're working out and you just want to hear the audio side of things, same way. Download the app. Therefore, you won't miss a thing. And you can be able to call, text, or comment from the show directly from the app. All right. Now, David Letterman on having Bill Belichick on Late Night with David Letterman. This is from SiriusXM NFL Radio. And there's a lot of folks that are, I guess, really happy that Belichick decided to go into college. But then also you have folks that are saying too, is he going to stay the entire time, or will he pay the $1 million fine? Because that's the only thing he would be on the hook for. Because I believe he got $20 million to be the coach. So he will be on the hook for $1 million if he decides to come out early. I don't think he will leave it early because he wants to set up his son for future success in Chapel Hill. So here is David Letterman on having Bill Belichick on Late Night with David Letterman.
You had Bill on a couple of times. Did you enjoy poking fun at him, considering you're the hugest, or at least at the time, the biggest Colts fan on the planet?
Oh boy. Well, the thing about Mr. Belichick, he, he's the walking Hall of Fame. He's his own wing in the Hall of Fame. And when you've achieved that level of success, you're going to be a target, and you learn to live with it and take it and laugh at yourself. And he was always pretty good at that. The thing that I noticed that I was delighted by, we're thinking about Cincinnati. No, we're going to Cincinnati. All right, put your pants on. We're going to Cincinnati. And so I thought, look out. This is what we're going to get when he's on the show. He sits down and he's Mr. After Dinner Speaker. Bang, zoom, one great story after another. He goes to the post-game press conference and, see you in Cincinnati. And I just, wow, that's fantastic. And I realized that the less he says, the less trouble he might get himself in inadvertently. It was a delight to have Bill on the show.
My dad told me one time, never pass up the opportunity to keep your mouth shut.
Well,
and that's not the worst advice in the world.
Don't you wish others would adhere to that?
Definitely a good time for listening.
So it's cool to hear David Letterman. I mean, if you guys have never watched him before, he had probably one of the premier shows on late night, and it was always fun because you never knew what would end up happening. But and I don't mean that in a bad way, because a lot of times you have to come with an explanation. It's like, putting a label on your show to let you know exactly what happens. And listen, here on the network, we can say whatever we want. Don't get me wrong, because we're not regulated by the FCC, which is a beautiful thing. But at the same time, too, listen, we're not going to curse up a storm all the time. There's no need for it. But David Letterman, at nighttime, if he cursed, I think, once in his career, it was one too many. But it was always a great time to listen to him. And I'm quite sure he had a lot of fun with Bill Belichick. And if he still, I believe, has a show, if I remember correctly, on Netflix. So if that's something that he wants to, if he can get him on again, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to really enjoy it. So I'm just thinking it that way. Anyways, a couple other things here that I want to get into. One is from the Denver Broncos, which, again, what a turnaround season for the Denver Broncos, especially for Bo Nix. I mean, it's just been absolutely insane how this kid has come out the college ranks. And I think it really, I don't know if it was a surprise or more how quickly he grew into the role of the starting quarterback in the NFL. But Sean Payton wants to talk about Nick Bonito's growth, an explosion this year. Again, this is credit to the Denver Broncos webpage, but the Broncos, listen, they're making noise.
Well, he's getting a lot more snaps in the road.
What did he do to earn more snaps and become a complete player?
Well, we elevated him. In other words, we elevated him. We saw a young, talented player, and we made some changes. And I think that he's really worked on, his run game defense, and that's a position that requires, just like a lot of energy. And so we've got a rotation with those, we carry 4 of those edge guys. And he's really someone that gets off the ball well and he bends well. And it's hard to do what he does if you don't bend, and he's got a real good get off. So, but he's kind of earned that, and man, he's having a tremendous year. I mean, I can't say enough about it. All of his numbers have been, off the charts, and this will be a fast track, and this will be a silent snap count that we're seeing, by the Chargers. So that helps him.
Who would have thought when he came to Denver, the success they would have had? Because let's not forget either, there was a lot of people saying that Sean Payton washed up. I mean, I listen and say what people want to say about him, but obviously it didn't work out with Russell Wilson. At the same time, a lot of folks said that maybe Russell Wilson is washed up. Maybe he's no good, but he's had success over with the Steelers. So sometimes it's not the right fit. There's times where you buy shoes and you think, man, I know these are just a tad bit too small. My feet are going to kill me, but I love them and I can't get them in my size. So Sean Payton and crew with Denver, They have been making a lot of noise, and could they make a run? Possibly. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. It could be a possibility. By the way, also, this is with Sean Payton on playing at irregular times due to their games being flexed. Again, credit to the Broncos website.
I just tell them, hey, get used to it. That's what we're looking for. They'll tell us when we're playing, where we're playing, and then we'll get ready to play. But yeah, I think that they get that, they understand that, and I think they're excited about playing another national TV game. And every one of these guys has got 100 people that are a part of why they're here. Teachers, coaches, parents, cousins, aunts, uncles. Everyone has a different group of 100, but that'll all be watching and feeling like they played a small part or a large part. And so, you're playing for those people.
GBG says, by the way, a lot of times, Angel, I think it's just coach and player not on the same page and don't want to get on the same page. I feel like that's a lot of the problem. A lot of the time, maybe not all the time, but a lot of the time. And listen, it's a good point. That's a really good point. Sometimes they don't. We've seen it with the Eagles. We've seen it with other teams. Sometimes guys don't want to play on the same sheet of music for whatever their reasons are. Whether it being QB, wide receiver, running backs, we've seen it. But Sean Payton found a way to make the Denver hopefuls at Mile High Stadium believe, listen, last year was a fluke. We got rid of whatever we thought didn't work for us, and we put in the right pieces. To build upon what they have right now within Bo Nix, Denver will only get better. Only get better. The Colts, they still got some work. The Colts really have to figure out what they're going to do with their quarterback. Just saying. They got to figure that one out because, I don't know. Eventually it'll get better. Now to finish up here with Denver, pardon me, wide receiver Courtland Sutton says the team can't get complacent with a chance to get into the playoffs. Once again, credit goes to the Denver Broncos website.
It's not we need 6 teams to lose and to do this and do that. It's nice to be able to almost be able to control our own destiny in that space. But with that being said, we do have some big games to finish the season, and we gotta maximize them. Can't get complacent with the outside noise of what could be. We just have to control the things that we can't control, and that's Thursday, first and foremost, maximizing that. But going and watching this film from walkthroughs, having a good practice tomorrow, and showing up on Thursday, and like we said, starting fast and going out there and performing how we know how to perform.
That's the way you got to do it. You got to remember that when you're playing a game, right? It's the same way. Sure, if this happens, if that happens, eventually you get yourself in. But you truly want to do what you can to control your own destiny to be able to get in there. Because once you start getting into that, well, we know this team can be that team. If we lose this one, we can add that one, blah, blah, blah. No. You want to try and perform the best you can, especially with the final closing weeks here in the NFL. And I think Denver can do that. I think Denver might make themselves on a little bit of a run. Just saying. Just saying. Last thing I will leave you guys with here. I want to go with Andy Reid. Yeah, you know what? I started kind of with Justin Herbert. Let's end it with Justin Herbert here with the Los Angeles Chargers. Here's Justin talking about Jim Harbaugh on creating a family environment for the team. This is credit to the Chargers webpage, and kind of ironic because he left Michigan as a dysfunctional family.
Coming together and understanding that we've gone through a full season together where guys trust each other and they play for each other and it's more than just a brotherhood. It's a family here, and I think that's one of those things that Coach Harbaugh has done such a great job communicating and talking about this entire year.
Interesting. Because again, listen, not for nothing, Harbaugh, it happened, whatever happened in Michigan. Say they cheated, say they didn't cheat. Same thing has been said for many, many years when it comes to the Patriots. Eventually there'll be a book that finally says it did it. Just like I said, when OJ went to go pass away, he would finally tell Courtney, I'm your dad. Did he say it? Who knows? I think everybody believes that Kourtney Kardashian is the spawn of OJ Simpson. Just saying. It could have happened. Maybe OJ let it out before he passed away. But nonetheless, once again, no one sleep on the Chiefs, because even though you have Patrick Mahomes, who's banged up a little bit, it doesn't mean a hill of beans when it comes down to it. Because in the end, it's going to come down to that, once again, if it comes down to the AFC Championship game, rest assured, they're probably going to be between the Chiefs and the Bills, unless maybe Denver makes some sort of magical run. All right, to close out the show here, Duncan Dad says, running errands all day. Always tune in to CSN SR 1029 The Game. As always, I appreciate it. I have to have Duncan Dad hopefully here. No, not Friday. We won't be here on Friday. I'll have to have him on next week. The juice is loose. I have to have him on as there's another thing coming up here with Duncan Dad. We'll release it into the new year as we get things ready during the Christmas break. GBG says, great show, Angel. Glad I was able to finally listen and chime in a little bit. I do appreciate GBG, the same way Rick Marcus, Duncan Dad, as he had just mentioned. And Duncan Dad, by the way, does have the app downloaded. Thanks to Dylan, Penguin AZ, Joey B. More importantly, thank you to our newest partnership, not only with getting your fresh roasted coffee from freshroastedcoffee.com. You guys can put in your not back your plate, because that's what Q, MNC20 to get your 20% off fresh roasted coffee. It's cold outside. Stay warm with freshroastedcoffee.com. Visit and put in your code MNC20 for your 20% off. But more importantly, thanks to Stuart and Jason, Stuart Weiss, the owner of City Garage Motorsports, car number 85. As he broke the news to everybody today, they have announced that right here on this show that they will have a second car, that car being car number 50, car 50, to go along with car number 85. They're on their way to go pick that up. That's why they were on the phone with me. Next week, hopefully we'll get them via video. If not, we'll have them back on the phone. But thank you to Stuart. Thank you to Jason. Thank you to City Garage Motorsports for partnering up with us here at the Coastal Sports Network of Florida. We do appreciate it. We're planning to have so much content and just being together and having fun and all that good fun stuff. We can't wait to bring you guys more content this year. So thank you all. Don't forget to visit SR1029thegame.com. Download the All Digital Sports app, as other people have done, as we do appreciate it. And we'll keep you guys informed as the day progresses, because behind me will be the Drive with Q, my mono Rich Q. Don't forget, Rich will have his show on the YouTube channel on Friday. So if you've not followed Rich, do me a favor, follow Rich at Rich Q on Q. Therefore, you won't miss the Drive with Q on Friday. Then Bees World at 6 o'clock, followed by Talking Hoops and the debut of Doc Riley. All right, you guys have yourselves a wonderful rest of your sports day. We'll be talking to you soon. I'm Angel Martinez, Martinez Company. Enjoy the rest of your day.